I talked about on episode 66 of my podcast that just basically my overall life story, my journey with health, doctors, celiac disease, and I mentioned that this year, well, technically December of 2021, I started having really bad anxiety and panic attacks. It's not something that I ever experienced before, so it was very scary and new to me. Um, it got to a point where it got so bad that I couldn't go to work anymore. I could barely leave my apartment. Getting up to do the bare minimum, like laundry, would give me so much anxiety. Taking a shower was sometimes impossible when I used to love taking showers. Like, it was very um, peaceful for me. Everything that I used to do, like working out, going for walks, things that you do to help your body, were hurting my body. I was in a state of fight or flight for almost a year, and nothing I did was getting better. I was taking 5-HTP, ashwagandha, Mintran, different supplements to help the anxiety until I realized that I was doing exactly what conventional medicine does, but in a holistic approach. And so I ended up moving back to Naples with my dad because I couldn't stand the anxiety. I couldn't leave my apartment. It was so bad. I literally couldn't function. And so I moved home. Well, I moved back to Georgia first, and then I moved to Naples with my dad. And I saw my chiropractor down there, and he did a muscle test on me. And basically, all that he found was that I had really bad adrenal fatigue, which I already kind of knew that. And so he put me on a bunch of B vitamins, which I had suspected I might be deficient in B12, but really all that came up were my adrenals. And so I did those for a few days, and then I was like, you know what? I feel like this isn't getting to the root. Like, I knew that the adrenals weren't the root cause of what was going on with my symptoms. Um, Tired all the time. My hair was falling out. My skin was super dry. My lips were always chapped. I would hit an energy crash at about 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I would stay up super, super late. Like, I would have a crash of energy late in the afternoon and then a burst of energy at like 10 or 11 o'clock at night. My sleep schedule was completely off. I was waking up in the middle of the night. Some nights I slept through like really well, but I would wake up and I would just always feel so tired still. Um, I lost a lot of weight because of the anxiety. The anxiety made me nauseous, and then the nausea caused me to not eat. So I lost a lot of weight. And I ended up quitting the supplements that he put me on because I knew that that wasn't the root cause. I knew that there was something else that was going on deeper that I just didn't know about yet. I also was being gaslit by a majority of people in my life telling me that I was a hypochondriac, that I was lazy, that I needed to get a job, that I just was bored and had too much time on my hands, that I was making stuff up. And so I started to believe these people, like, okay, maybe I do have too much time on my hands. Maybe I am really lazy right now. Maybe I am going through something. Maybe I am just depressed. Maybe I'm just anxious, and this is just how I'm going to be for the rest of my life. And then I never stopped praying about it. I prayed on it every single day, asking God for healing, asking God for guidance, for answers, basically. And that's when I basically stopped everything in August, and just I gave up that control. I've always had the control of, like, what do I take now? Like, what do I need to take for this? Like, what can I do for this? Like, how often should I be drinking water? Like, how much? And it just is like, stop. Like, I got to a point where I was like, I need to stop because hyper obsessing about it isn't helping. And the stress is definitely not helping. So I finally gave up that control. And that's when God showed me metabolic health. And so, because of the anxiety and the nausea, I wasn't eating, my metabolism was in the trash. And so, I realized that waking up with a basal body temperature of 94 or 95 degrees on most days consecutively was not good at all. Being cold all the time was not good at all. I was never hungry when I first woke up in the morning. I would get hungry around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Not good. And so I really started to focus on just eating enough throughout the day. So eating as soon as I wake up or within 30 minutes of waking up, and eating every 3 to 4 hours. And I noticed a huge improvement with my body. Like my energy started to come back. I wasn't cold anymore. Um, my PMS symptoms were not as debilitating as they used to be. And so just slowly giving my body the support that it needs to be a human being basically really helped. And then I was still not feeling like myself again, but I came across minerals, and God showed me minerals: copper, iron, potassium, magnesium, iodine, sodium, zinc, just all of these important minerals that we need for a healthy body. And I started to look deeper into it. The first person that I came across regarding minerals was Morley Robbins. I don't agree with everything he says anymore after I got my test results back from my HTMA, because he's very anti-iron, pro-copper, no matter what, and I'm kind of anti anything that is not right for your specific or particular body. So I started eating more beef liver, strictly animal based, and adrenal cocktails every single day. And I started to have really good results from that, like more energy on my own, and raw dairy too, and just really good results. But I still wasn't feeling like my total self. And so that's when I decided to go forward with a hair mineral analysis test, which basically shows on a more cellular level how your body is handling minerals, whether or not they're in your tissues, and basically just what's going on deeper, because there's only so much information that you can find out from a blood test. Like iron, for example, people could, like, your iron via a blood test could show that you are anemic or deficient, when your body could most likely be storing iron within the tissues, and it's just not bioavailable, it's not moving. So the hair mineral analysis test gives a deeper look into your body, how your body handles stress, whether you have a slow or fast metabolism, and it just gives so much information about your body that a blood test normally wouldn't. And so I got that back, and I had a follow-up with a practitioner, and basically what we found out is that I am copper toxic. So the copper has pushed out all of the other good minerals, such as magnesium, zinc, potassium, calcium, and sodium. And so nothing's really stable. Some of my minerals were off the charts high, because they were constantly leaving my body. That copper was pushing them out. And my calcium, for example, was not in my bones or my teeth like it should be. My calcium was actually in my tissues, where it does not belong, to protect my cells from that copper buildup. So it's really interesting how our bodies start to take from one area into another to protect. And so we also found out that I'm a level 2, which means I have intense stress within my adrenals, which I already knew that. I've also gone through a lot of like relationship and family issues this year as well, so that has not helped my stress levels whatsoever. We found histamine issues, and that I'm a slow metabolizer, so my body is having a hard time digesting protein and fat, which if you are on an animal-based diet, a lot of people are eating higher fat, higher protein, and that's what I was doing. And it just isn't working for my body. It works for some people, but it's not working for me. So we found out that I do better with equal amounts of protein and carbs and then lower amounts of fats. Um, and basically just that my metabolism is moving so slow right now, especially because I am just stockpiling all of this calcium within my tissues to protect from the copper. So what I was told, oh, also that because of the calcium not being in my bones and the copper toxicity has created hypothyroidism as well. So basically what I was told to do was to increase my potassium through food, start taking magnesium, vitamin K2 by itself with breakfast, trace elements, Minplex B, magnesium, B6, and chromium. I am hypoglycemic, so the chromium will help with that. Doing one adrenal cocktail a day and drinking coconut water about 1 to 2 glasses a day. I have low stomach acid, so taking a digestive enzyme with every meal, especially with protein and fat, will help a lot. I'm going to stop my beef liver because there's high amounts of copper within beef liver, and even though I was only taking about maybe 3 ounces every single week, beef liver is so nutrient dense, has so many wonderful nutrients in it. I was only taking it with the vitamin A retinol benefit, and it turns out I was just overloading on copper instead. So rather than taking large amounts of copper through about 3 ounces a week of beef liver, I am going to get very small amounts of copper through avocados, sweet potatoes, even dark chocolate, things like that. My zinc levels were also very low. She wants me to take a like a supplement of zinc, but that's going to be that we're gonna wait on that and just start slow with focusing on the calcium, magnesium, potassium, and sodium, just the big four pretty much. So the zinc is something that I don't know if I want to take the zinc supplement. I'm just gonna kind of see how I'm doing. I'm going to try to get that through food. So like pumpkin seeds, I just bought 2 pumpkins yesterday. Just eating very seasonally, I think, is also important. Zinc is in red meat as well, oysters and things like that. I believe she told me the selenium, that blue corn chips are a good source of that. I did buy blue corn chips. It's kind of hard for me to eat things like that because I'm so used to not eating a lot of grains. But like healthy carbs, gluten-free carbs like rice is actually beneficial in a case like this, as long as it's rinsed and washed properly to make it easier to digest. Peaches, prunes, potatoes, sulfur by doing an Epsom salt soak once a week. And then on my hypothyroid, she said it wasn't the worst case of hypo that she's ever seen, but once I correct the calcium levels and the calcium goes back into my bones and my teeth and not my tissues, that's pretty much going to correct itself in a way. And then just some other things that she recommended for the anxiety part is holy basil, especially before sleep, because it can lower the cortisol. And then to support the liver to help detox the copper, so lemon water, dandelion root tea, milk thistle, bentonite clay baths, and even a coffee enema. I don't know if I'm strong enough to do that yet. Castor oil packs are really good too. But so basically when I was experiencing the really bad anxiety and panic attacks back in February and March. Those were the worst of it. And then I kind of had some like on and off throughout the rest of the year. That is copper dumping. So when your body has so much copper stored inside the tissues, it needs to eventually get rid of it. Anything can trigger it. Stress can trigger it. A car wreck can trigger it. We think that my detox that I did using the TRS zeolite from Koseva is what likely triggered it. And it's funny because my practitioner mentioned, as humans, we try to do things to support the body, but rather than the body taking it as support, it kind of triggers something else that we didn't know was an underlying issue. And so for me, I was trying to detox heavy metals. I was trying to detox from vaccines and from birth control that I used to be on and for other pharmaceuticals. In reality, I triggered a copper dump. And I didn't know that I was copper toxic. I didn't know that I had a copper issue. And so that triggered my body to dump all of this copper out without being supported by other minerals, such as the four that I mentioned, like calcium, magnesium, potassium, and sodium. And so your body has an innate ability to detox on its own without using anything harsh like zeolite, because zeolite specifically goes for heavy metals, but it can also have the ability to wipe out all other minerals as well. And I think that's kind of what happened with me. So when you're not supporting your body with other minerals that you need to balance things like copper and iron, that's when you create other issues, such as the copper dumping. That's when estrogen dominance comes into play. So it's really interesting how they all have an effect on each other. And so my main focus now is to bring down my copper levels, continuing to allow my body to detox the copper out, but not doing it harshly like zeolite, doing it to just where I am supporting the body. So giving the body those four supplements, especially through food. I am staying animal-based still. And just with a variety of foods, like seasonally. So I got pumpkin, fruits, coconut water is what I've been drinking a lot of to get that potassium up, squash, things like that. And so I think eating seasonally will really help the gut as well. Everything that I have to eat has to be cooked. So like my squash, I'm gonna eat a lot of soup. I love soup, bone broth. Everything has to be cooked, not down to a mush, but just cooked thoroughly because my body is having a hard time digesting food right now. So focusing on supporting the body without pushing things out super quick. I'm starting very low and slow on my supplements as well. I ordered the supplements that she recommended I take. The only magnesium supplement that I had on me was magnesium glycinate from Doctor's Best. So it says that the serving size is 2 tablets for 200 milligrams. Again, I'm starting very low and slow because I don't want to override the body. I don't want to cause it to trigger another copper dump. Low and slow is the best whenever you're dealing with copper toxicity. So I broke up just 1 tablet into 2. I cannot chew pills at all, so I just chew it. It doesn't taste terrible. I mean, I wouldn't, want to do it for funsies, but I started that yesterday. I took a half of one in the morning and then I took a half of one right before bed because glycinate does have more of a calming effect than like malate, for example. So anybody that is dealing with anxiety should most likely not be on malate, more so on glycinate. But when my trace minerals come in, I will stop that and just do the trace minerals because it has the magnesium in it. So this is kind of just my journey that I'm documenting for everybody, that I'm going to heal naturally without conventional medicine and really focus on supporting the body in natural ways and through minerals in particular, and really nothing else like herbs, unless I absolutely need to, and food. Um, and so this is going to be just my raw journey doing this and seeing how where it takes me, and just my learning and research, and just a proof that we can heal with what God has given us, and we don't need doctors to gaslight us in our healing journey and things like that. So, cheers.